Hello, this is Dav Edward doing a reply to Direwolf 20's episode 48, The Mining Machine. I rather liked the mining machine that he designed in that episode, but wanted to make a couple improvements on it. I'm hoping that Direwolf might be able to see this video just to see if he would like the improvements, and perhaps he can even further improve upon my design here. Much like his original design, it is still the same frame with the turtles all laid out. There was one problem with the frame design that I didn't quite like, which was the fact that Direwolf 20 had to keep putting a timer on the turtle so that when they dug down, they would count down and then remove the mining wells. What I was thinking was having a way for the turtles to actually know when the mining wells were done so that you can have a variable speed mining well. This way you can power the frame using as little as 10 Minecraft joules all the way up to 400 Minecraft joules, and the frame will automatically be able to go at whatever speed of the power supply you gave it. This is my design of the machine that took me quite a number of attempts until I got it working just right. As you can see on the front here, I've given it 4 tesseracts. The reason why is if you put them on either end of the pipes, it seems that the mining wells on the two ends go first, and then the ones in the middle get a little bit of lag. I found if I put down all 4, it balances it out. However, you still can get away with just putting only down 1 tesseract. It's just the machine will only go 1/4 as fast. The biggest difference here, though, is instead of using normal mining turtles, what I'm using is the mining turtles with the gate reader upgrade from Miscellaneous Peripherals. First thing I did was I put a mining well in the first slot of every turtle, and I put sticks in the rest of the inventory slots. This is just to stop the mining wells from pushing their items up into the turtles. The second thing that Direwolf had was that the turtles would pick up the inventory and then dump them into the chest. However, that meant the turtle would have to collect, and dump. So what I've done is instead, I've put relays for the mining wells to dump into. You could also replace these relays with ender chests if you want to make the machine go even faster. I'll show you right now the source code that I wrote for the turtles. I will try to paste in this for you, however, just so you can take a look at it properly. So first of all, as part of a debug code, I told it that redstone set output back is false, just to make sure that if the turtle was for whatever reason stopped in the middle of it doing a cycle, it resets back to the off state. The purpose of them sending a signal in the back is I have a bunch of redstone tubes all along the back here through the frames. And each of these redstone tubes are all connected to the backs of every single turtle, which runs into the bottom of the master computer here. This is what I consider the busy signal. As long as the mining wells are not complete yet, if they've been placed but have not finished doing their job, this tube will light up, telling the computer not to continue. Just likewise, the left output of the computer here is the start signal. This will tell the turtles to deploy their mining wells. The way I made sure that these two different tubes did not connect to each other is I put down panels, make note it's panels, not covers, on each of the frames here, which causes the tubes to be separate from one another so you can have the two separate outputs here. Going back to my code here, if I'm not a klutz and falling, just 1 second. My apologies in advance. I have absolutely no editing tools. I'm doing this with just a screen recorder. So, sorry if I can't cut out things as well as Direwolf does here. So, very similar to Direwolf, I have the deploy function, much like how he originally wrote it. I'll try to scroll down this slowly just so that you can copy this down. So for the deploy function, what I've added is once the turtle has deployed its mining well, that it will set output back to true. This causes the busy signal to get turned on. I also had to do a bit of a swap technique here. To make sure that the slot where the mining well is doesn't get filled with whatever the mining well picks up, the turtle places the mining well and then immediately puts one of these 2 sticks in slot 2 into slot 1. This will stop the mining well from being able to fill the turtle with any garbage items that it might pick up. That way, when it's done, it puts the stick back from item slot 1 into item slot 2, and then it can pick up the mining well. The getMiner function is relatively the same. However, what I've done here is I put in the gate reading. The gate read line should be somewhere in here. Oh, my apologies, the gate reading line would be lower. This is for just fetching the getMiner itself, which is pretty simple. It just picks up the mining well, tells the output back on the back to be set to false to tell the signal that it's no longer busy. And then as long as all the other turtles are also sending the signal that they're no longer busy, the frame will be able to move on and do its next process. So this is the main code here. This is outside the functions. So it prints that it's ready once it's running the program. On a OS pull event, so whenever there's a redstone signal that changes in any way, it'll sleep for a partial second. The reason I had to put in this sleep function was, oddly enough, if you have 3 turtles, for example, all giving out a redstone signal, if any one of those 3 turtles stop its redstone signal, for some reason turtles regard this as though the signal stopped, even though the other 2 turtles are still providing a signal. I don't know why my Minecraft is doing that. It might be that my server's not powerful enough. However, if you're finding that it's buggy, the sleep step here does help a lot. I then told the turtles if it gets a signal on the top, if it's true, deploy the turtle. Or deploy the mining well, my apologies. Next is that on the peripheral, this is the gate reader turtle. If it does a call right, if it does a get command. And sorry, I'm not very used to using the actual built-in editor here. I always use pastebin. There we go. So get, if it sees work done being told by the turtle, this is the same thing you see in the Buildcraft gates. If the signal work done is false, all it does is sleep. Otherwise, once the signal is true, it just continues on where it prints that the mining well is done, turns off the redstone signal, and then picks up the miner. And just to make sure that's working, I should probably start this back up. There we go. It's the exact same program along every single one of these turtles. And if you watched direwolf20's video, you would probably easily be able to reconstruct the basic of this frame. I will try to do a quick video on how I built it. However, I don't want to bore you by going too much into the details here. One thing a lot of you might be thinking right now is that there's a lot of stuff just added on here. A lot of this is optional. This back piece here is just simply a inchworm engine to move the quarry up and down blocks, and this one over here is just to make the quarry be able to strafe side to side. The only purpose of this is in case you don't want to have a frame that just keeps going forever in one direction. I've actually set mine up so that it can go forward for as many blocks as you want, strafe 16 blocks to the left or right, and then work backwards to make lines and that go back and forth, similar to a typewriter. However, for the forward moving engine, I had to go with the manual approach here, just because I wanted to avoid having too many wires. So if you want to make the inchworm engine run forward, you leave the jacket wire on the forward engine. If you want to make it run backwards, you have to put it on the backwards going engine, which is this one right here. The master computer code is a little bit more complex, but honestly it's not that hard to use either. Likewise, I'll try to pastebin this one for you all as well. So there's the same pulse as direwolf made originally for it to inch forwards. There's my move frame, which is just telling it simply to do the pulse command on the right side and sleep for a little over or a little under half of a second. Here would be my dig command. This is for it to check for the miner busy signal. With this one, the computer just simply waits for an OS pull event, waiting for the busy signal to stop. This way you don't have to keep making it sleep for a random amount of time waiting for the turtles. This one will be able to realize right away that if the moment those turtles are all done, it just moves forward. The reason for the 0.2 sleep seconds is, again, when turtles do their thing where one of them stops redstone signal while others are going. There seems to be a bug with my server, or maybe it's even a Buildcraft bug, where for some reason the signal still keeps going anyways. Next, it does the starting the cycles. This is quite simple. If it gets an input signal from the top, where I have my lever, as you saw in direwolf20's video, quite simply he used wireless redstone, which you could do here just as easily. I'm just using a plain old lever just for the sake of purposes here, or testing purposes. If it sees the signal, it tells all the turtles to dig. Once they're done digging, move the frame forward. Normally you would have your ender chest either sitting right here or behind the turtles. The reason I have mine here, however, is I found that if you get the system backstuffed with your ender chest, the mining wells just spray all your items all over the place into the air. So I actually managed to add one layer of debugging here, which is I'm using a Buildcraft gate right behind the crystal chest here. Normally you would have an ender chest here, but again, I'm just doing a test run through here. I quite simply set up that if inventory is full, redstone signal on. It provides a redstone signal on the very same line that the turtles use for the busy line that the mining wells are busy. That way, if anything jams up, the frame will actually stop until you clear your jam. There does seem to be some sort of bug with Buildcraft gates and red power tubes, though. I don't understand why, but although it emitting a redstone signal is fine and it propagates through the system, when it turns the redstone signal off, it doesn't seem to turn it off in the tube. So far, my way of fixing this bug until Elaram and whoever made Buildcraft manages to sort that out, all I'm doing is I'm just putting down a red power 2 timer here, and you just have to set to something reasonable, like 30 seconds or such. The only reason for this is it causes a block update that makes this realize that the signal stopped. This is not actually transmitting any signal through anything, I'm just using the timer to cause a block update. Now for the big important one, you probably want to actually see this thing in action. Oh, my apologies, also one more piece. I put in a filter here, just for the sake of just getting rid of dirt, gravel, cobblestone, whatever. You can do this on your sorting system. I just thought I would want to put it right on the frame itself, just to reduce the amount of stuff being thrown into the ender chest. This block right here is the incinerator from Tube Stuff. However, you could use various other things to destroy the blocks. Most people would probably make an item sorting system much like Direwolf shows in his earlier episodes. This is just to reduce the amount of garbage that goes in my crystal chest here. So finally, let me go and show you this thing in action. I'm just going to go over here and place down some power. Just pretend this is my power plant. So my power tesseract. Set it to power. Send only. And then just pretend all these redstone energy cubes were my power plant somewhere else in the world. I'll start the Smart Cycle program, which you would normally rename to Startup. And just like Direwolf's, it'll sit there and not do anything until it gets redstone signal, so I'll throw the lever. And there it goes. My server is very lacking in power. It's I think a 6-year-old server, so my apologies if this is really poor frame rate here. But I just wanted to show off the fact that this does work, much like Direwolf's. In fact, it is actually, I couldn't work out the math precisely, but it seems to be about 20% faster. And again, the main advantage of my design here is you can run it at any speed you prefer. You don't need to run it at 400 Minecraft joules per tick. You can run it at a lowly 10 Minecraft joules per tick, and it still actually digs pretty fast, even with only 10. I'm letting this do a couple of cycles here just so you can see the result down here, then I'll show you the results above as well. And just to show, it is digging all the way down to bedrock. And then for the top half of this unit, this is probably the part you want to see, is how this thing's moving. So turtles place down the mining wells start to dig, all the items go into the relay. If I look carefully here, you'll be able to see all the items flying through the tube. Again, my client is very slow to update with the server, so it's taken a while before it updates properly. Once the mining wells are done, each turtle picks up the mining well. So that one finished first. There go the others, and then the whole system slides backwards. Again, you can have the engine slide forwards or backwards, whichever is your preference. And also, just in case you want to see the inchworm engine doing its action here, it should be doing it any moment now. My apologies for the frame rate. I do see it's diving below 10 frames per second quite frequently here. Not sure if you're able to see that. I'll try to let it do it one more time. If I was doing this off my server, I might have been able to let people see the items flying through these tubes better, but unfortunately my frame rates are just far too low when I try to do it on single player. And then there goes the inchworm. So I'm going to turn this thing off here. Now the way the inchworm engine is working, this is using one of the older designs of the inchworm, in which you give the signal to one of the engines here, and once this one slides forward, this is a NOT gate down here, so it's the equivalent of having a redstone torch down there. The moment this engine slides forward, because it slid into a point where it's detecting redstone signal, it gets set off and slides back again. That's how I'm having it so that there's only one signal going to my engine here, as opposed to having to use two wires like Direwolf did in his earlier video. The difference between the two designs, Direwolf's is better to make sure that for no reason does it ever get stuck. But since I'm not having this redstone or this frame engine moving constantly, it's not actually a problem because each iteration has plenty of time to recharge. If you had this thing trying to crawl forward constantly, it'd pose a different problem. Also, here's my crystal chest with all its items in it. Just for the sake of example here, I'm going to just fill this as much as possible with junk just to show you the back stuff of protection. Sorry that I didn't do this in pre-planning. I didn't think that the crystal chest would be this hard to fill, and I would rather not use any eye to fill it with junks like sticks right now. There, so let's pretend this thing got backstuffed. Actually, I'll leave that one slot open just so that it'll get backstuffed on its own. So I'll turn it back on. So at the moment the turtles are giving the busy signal, but if you can get a good view of this gate here, which unfortunately is being well hidden because it's attached by all sides here. I'll just move so that you can see the mining wells instead. So items are going in the chest. This should fill it up. Nope, still didn't fill it up. Let's see if we got it full yet. If this doesn't fill on its own, I might have to put something in the way to get it stuck so you're not having to wait so long here. There we go, that piece of amber should get it backstuffed. There we go. Notice how all the mining wells got picked up, but the machine's not moving. what happened is it realized that the chest is full. So if we look in here, it's completely full. So the gate turned on, and it's trapping it so that the turtle busy signal is left on. So if my sorting system on the other end got backstuffed for any reason, the system's just going to sit here and not do anything. All those items that couldn't go anywhere are still sitting in these relays. If I can find a relay that's not busy. Let's see. Well, one of these relays is holding on to a whole bunch of items that were picked up that have no home to go to yet right now. The moment I clear this back stuff, however, so say I went and cleaned it up a little bit here. There we go. Suddenly, it realized, hey, I'm not full, and was able to move forward again. I'm using a mod called Schematic that makes it easy to rebuild items. I'll be using it just to try to display how I built this thing from ground up. If it's difficult to read, my apologies, but this is the best I can do without making things complicated or slow. Let me just move my schematic here out of the way. There we go. Okay, so here's a duplicate of my entire construction, only as a schematic instead. So I'll show you it from layer to layer here. First layer is pretty much the same as Direwolf 20s, which is you lay out your standard framing here. Here's all the cover plates I mentioned earlier to separate the tubes from one another, all the way along. There's relays for where the mining wells lay down, as well as the power conduits and tesseracts. This is also where I went to the liberty of stuffing in my filter and incinerator here to destroy any of the unwanted items. And these are all tubes here. These are just normal tubes, not redstone tubes. As well, there's my two NOT gates. One NOT gate for one frame engine, the other NOT gate for the other engine. I'll stay still here for a couple seconds for you to pause to take a look at the structure carefully. And now for layer 2. So for layer 2, this is where you would put your chest. These are your red stone tubes. So there's the ones for busy signal with the turtles. This carries all the way along behind. These are sitting directly on top of the relays. This is our inchworm engines. So this is facing the front of the quarry here, so you can see the facings here. Make note as to the direction you're seeing here. As well as the up and down one, and left and right one. My apologies again for the lack of quality here. If I was able to edit, I would try my best to make this video much better. I just don't have proper editing tools. This would be the on signal piping for the turtles. This is where the left signal comes from the master to tell the turtles to go. On the right output here is where it moves the inchworm engine. There's the piece of jacketed wire. And then there's just the two frame engines for left and right and up and down again. And then the last layer is just simply for the lever and the top of the up and down relay. Hopefully this video was helpful and worthwhile to see here. I know this was completely amateur, but this is the best I can handle at the time being here with short notice. Wish you all the best and good luck with your designs.